Okay, I'm out here for a plein air painting this morning, and I brought my, I always have my Everett Watercolors travel set. It comes with a visual journal, which is a mixed media, and it's made out of vinyl. It's vellum. It's a vellum paper, and it's 90 pound, but it really does a nice job. See, I've done several of these in the past. If anybody will use that today, the size is 5.5 by 8. This size is 5.5 this way and 8 here. But when I spread the sheets out, when I open up the pad, now I get an 8 by 10, so or 11. It's 11 this way and 8. So it gives me almost like a quarter sheet of paper right there. Along with the visual journal, the travel set comes with a travel palette, and in here I also have there are 3 tubes of paint. I have lemon yellow, pyro red, and ultramarine blue. Yellow, red, and blue. I've also added a couple colors here for myself when I come out and paint. I got some yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and down here I have a little Payne's gray and some Chinese white. And those are just extra colors I have to add to it. But the main colors are red, yellow, and blue, lemon yellow, pyro red, and ultramarine blue. And I'll be using those today. Along with that, also I have my palette in a bottle dot sprayer, sold exclusively on Everett Watercolors. So the palette, the pad, the visual journal, the spray bottle. Right here I just have water because I will use that to wet my paints with. So I'll be wetting up all the colors today. Put a little water on the palette itself. So that's enough water there to do a painting, really. I don't need that much water. And then my brushes. The set also includes a half-inch. These are natural hair brushes. This is a half-inch little travel brush, and a number 6 round. Those 2 brushes is all you need to do a nice painting. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to capture this waterway here off to the side, and you can see a beautiful tree line over there and the reflections in the water. That's what I really want to capture right there with the sun's coming up. It's about 7:30 in the morning, a nice day to get started. It's a beautiful day. Look, there's no wind blowing. The reflections are clean, and the water's not moving at all. So it's going to be easy to paint that. So I'm going to get started. I'll do a quick composition sketch just to get the elements down. Okay. There you got my mechanical pencil, which I always carry. Let's see now. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna put the trees over here on the left, which is what's in the. So I'll start over here, and I'm going to show the reflection down here, and I've got a reflection here in the water. Tree line here, and over here on the other side I'm going to show the distance trees in the background. Little tree line over here, and then reflection is going to be in the water. I'll have some reflection down here, and that'll be about it. Okay, very simple plan. Tree line over here on the left, the reflection in the water, and a tree line in the background with the reflection in the water over here. So left side, right side. Okay, so my first wash, put the brush up a little bit here, and I think I'll start with the sky. So I'll mix up a little bit of ultramarine blue, and I'll start over here. The sky, I got more sky on this side over here. So I'll start on the right hand side with the sky. And before I go any further, I better use my clips. I always carry a couple of clips with me so I can keep the paper down. So I'll pull my clips out now while I have it. and this will stabilize the paper. So while I'm painting that, I'll put the clips down here at the bottom so the paper won't move. And over here on the right, which I'll be putting a little bit of wash, I'll go over here now. So we're working out the top area, so I'll put the clips down here at the bottom. Okay, that stabilizes the paper. So this little travel palette is very easy, nice and light, and very convenient to have. On Plein Air, because it's easy to get a nice quick sketch. I'm going to smooth that out a little bit because it makes the sky a little bit smoother. It's just a blue sky this morning. I'll leave it blue. No clouds, so I'll just paint no clouds in there. And there's a little bit of sky over here on the tree line, so I'll put a little blue over here, just a little bit. I'll paint over it a little bit with the trees anyway. Come on down here. Okay. So this Plein Air, it's a Plein Air sketch. So I'm really just I like to practice on the weekends. This is a opportunity just to get out. It's beautiful weather. It's really early fall. And it's 70 degrees, 75 degrees out here already. 70, 72, 73. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and paint some reflection too. I got the blue in the palette here. I'm going to go ahead and put in some of the blue of the sky into the water. And get the main elements. The water and the sky and the water and the trees. And there's a little bit of the continuity here. Have the water move over here a little bit, so I have a little bit of, make the left side and the right side go together. Put that blue in there. That'll combine the two sides. And I don't want to have a sudden break here. I want to do a continuation here. So now what I'll do is I'll move this clip here so I can continue the sky and continue the reflection down here in the water. And I showed you in the beginning. There's no wind blowing today, so the water is calm, which is a nice. I love to paint reflections when the water is calm. Over here we finish. I got to fill in the little gaps here in the middle. A nice continuation of color down between. So just this little half-inch brush is all I need for this visual journal. This goes with me everywhere I go. When I go painting, this is I have other pads and papers and so forth, but this is my favorite one. So when I do a lot of sketches on, okay, let that dry just a little bit. Nice, beautiful sunrise this morning. Reflection on the water, just pure white, pure blue sky and a blue reflection in the water with the trees and so forth. Just a beautiful sight. It's just a calming nature. Okay. So now my first mixture is going to be a little bit of green over for the trees. So what I do, see, with just the basic colors, red, yellow, and blue, I can mix anything I want. So I want to mix up a green. So I'll use the yellow lemon and pick up ultramarine blue, and I'll mix a darker mix over here I'll mix the darker mix over here with the blue, and then bring a little bit over here to the yellow area, and I can make that a lighter mix. So I have a light and a darker mix of yellow. So I mix my greens. Might put a little more yellow in there. There, it's a little yellow. Over here I can have a darker green with more blue in it. And if I really want to darken it down, I'd pick up a little bit of Payne's Gray and add that in there, and that kind of gives me a nice shadow color. So what I'll do, I'll just start with a lighter color, because I would like to start with a lighter color first. So I'll start with, now way back here in the background, we'll put in some green here for these trees. So I just want to get a base coat in here. So I'll put in a little tree line back here in the background. This is the background trees way off in the background, and there's a section over here, more trees over here. Again, this will have another little mixture of greens. So I'll establish the elements. That's the background trees, just the color, just the first layer. I'll come in and darken up a little bit, and this comes across here, so I'll fill that in. I'll connect the two sides of this painting with this background. Have this side come over here and touch. Okay. Now I'm going to continue on with a lighter green. Come in here and get some color. And there's a little bit of the blue shining through the trees over here, so I can leave some of that area. And more detail when I get to the second layer. But right now, I'm just kind of establishing some colors. This is I'm getting the elements. This is that large trees over here on the left. I'm going to leave some of the white paper showing, or it'll actually be sky color when I finish. This comes on down here to this section. Okay, then there's the reflection. The reflection, no, yeah, okay. Just indicate the reflection. Let's see, I got this section over here. Okay, so reflections always, what I do, I paint a reflect, I do vertical. I do a vertical strokes for the reflection. And this area over here is going to be a little bit taller. That's going to show the reflection in the water. Okay, and then I'll also, this is all reflection over here too. On the left side is all reflection here. So we'll start with vertical strokes. I like to put a little more yellow because I have the sun kind of popping in over here, so I'm putting a little more yellow. I'm picking up a little more yellow on my brush and put that in there. I like to get a little more yellow on this side because the sun's hitting these trees over here, and also in a reflection. And I'll bring this on down. Okay, those elements here, those are got, blocking in the basic sections here, just blocking them in. Now there's some grass over here. I like to pick this up too. I'm going to add this to my elements here. I'm going to add in, there's a little landmass here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a little bit of burnt sienna. just to give me a color here. There's a landmass coming over on this side, so I'm going to bring that out. Kind of emphasize that there's a little bit of land over here. So start out with a color over here. Okay, I kind of block that in a little bit. Just again, when you block in, all you're doing is getting just putting in the major elements. And then there's now I'm also going to switch brushes here just for a second. Now for smaller areas right here, these are some grass, some tall grass. I'm going to take some of this green. Maybe a little bit of yellow ochre, and I'll put in some grass in here, growing up on the side here. It's kind of overlaps. So again, I'm just kind of indicating the major on this. Put some grass, a little more interest here to the composition. So on the edge over here, I got a little bit of grass growing over here. Okay, I don't know, let that dry a little bit. Okay, so I've tried to mix. I've done mixing the greens with the yellow and the blue, and I've also mixed a little bit of brown down here with a little bit of yellow ochre. That gives me this grass. It's more like green, but I put a little bit more yellow ochre in there. Okay, and I got reflection started. So that's the block-in stage. Okay, and at this stage, the painting always looks a little bit ugly but it just gets you the main sections. It gets it blocked into the main sections of the painting. Okay, the trees, the reflections, the sky, and a little bit of grass over here on the left over here. Okay, that's the main elements. Okay, so I'm going to scan over here to the side again and show you a little bit of that section I'm looking at. Over here on the left side, you can see there's a little bit of land with some tall grass there on the side. That's what I was trying to capture. So that's where I was putting that in right there. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the painting. Okay. Let's slow it up. Okay, now we're going to finish off the painting. I've got lined up there where I want it to go. Now we're going to add in the final details. So what I'll do now, okay. So I'll start here on the right. Again, I'm going to use a smaller brush. And I'll use some of that burnt sienna, mixed in with a little bit of ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt sienna. Gives me a dark brown. And there's the edge of the water here, so I'm going to put that in. That's the shadows on the bank of the edge of the water. Put that in. And this one over here, this bank here now is forward, so the bank's a little bit lower on this side because there's a forward section that comes out here. So this reflection, or this bank shadow, is down over here. So I'm trying to establish the elements now. And I think what I'll do is I'll bring this over just a little bit. I want a little bit of overlap on this, so I'll bring this out like that. Okay. So this is side over here, so that takes care of that section. And then there's also a dark bank over here. This is where the bottom of the trees along. There's a river bank, a little bit of water bank along here, and that'll be defined by this. And I'll take that back just beyond this section right here. Okay, that goes out to there. Okay. All right, that kind of establishes the left side. Now I'll go back to my half-inch brush again, because it's. So now I'm going to put some darker green over here. So I mixed up a little bit. I got that ultramarine blue over here, and I'll pick up a little bit of yellow lemon. Here, I'm mixing my dark green now. Okay, a little bit darker. Okay, now I got a darker. Now I got a dark green now. Now what I'm going to do now is put this section here. I'm looking at the site now. This side here is a little bit darker because the sun is. There's a little bit of shadow pattern on this one over here, so I'm going to make this a little bit darker here. I'll take it from the base here. And what I'll do is the edge now, working on the edges now. These are trees, so I'm going to make them look like limbs and so forth on the edge, which is what they are. And there's several trees down there. Probably, you know, in landscapes there are 1,000 trees and there are 10,000 limbs. So you can't capture them all. What you do, you just try to capture the majority. But I'm going to leave some white areas here, showing that there's a little bit of light. The light's hitting some of those limbs and branches. The most important thing about a landscape or a tree line is to make sure you get a nice, interesting edge, which demonstrates or indicates that tree. I'm going to leave some of the light areas here for the effect of the sunlight hitting it. So my interpretation here is capturing the edge of those trees. It's a little bit taller. This is a little bit taller section over here, and it comes forward. Leave a little bit of lights there to show a little bit of highlights. Even a little bit of white paper showing. I like a little bit of white. It gives me sparkle in my painting. I like to leave white paper showing. The trees aren't turning brown yet. Most of these are evergreen trees. A lot of pine out there. A lot of pine trees in this area. Okay, to leave that's kind of rugged looking, and that's what I like. But I'll make sure I define the edge. Make it look like a tree line with a rough edge. Let that dry a little bit. Okay. Now the one in the background there is a lot lighter, so I'll use this light mix over here. I have a light mix of green over here, and I'll pick up a little more yellow. Okay, that's a light mix of green there, and I'm going to just put just a few indications here, just to show a little definition back here of trees. I'm not going to get too defined. I'm just going to indicate that there are trees back there. The sun's hitting them more, and I'll come up and hit a little bit of the edges. Give me that nice edge line. Okay, it's a lighter trees back there because the sun's hitting that section. The sun's behind this section over here, so that kind of gives it an indication that it's behind. This whole area is a little bit lighter back there. The sun's hitting that a little bit better there in the background. I'm trying to indicate that. Okay, and the reflection is not really much more than what I have here. What I'll do is put some color in there, work on the edges a little bit, get that yellow in there on that section. Bring a few, there's a few taller ones there, so I'll bring this forward a little bit. Okay. And the reflection over here needs to be a little bit darker, so what I'll do is pick up a little bit of ultramarine blue, and this is a little bit darker over here. A little more shadow. So this will be a darker reflection over here. The trees are darker, so I'll put that in. A little darker green there to show a shadow reflecting on the water from the tree line. Okay, all right. Now the big section over here. I think what I'm going to do there, I'm going to switch a brush. I got a bristle brush I want to use over here. So I'm going to take another look at that tree line again and see it hasn't changed much. You can see some of the shadows that I've in the water, reflection in the water I've captured. Now I'm working on that group of trees on the left over here, and it's reflection. Okay, we'll come back here. That's what I'm going to work on right now. That tree, a group of trees on the left. So, as besides my travel kit, I always carry some brush. This is a bristle brush. You can buy them in any hardware stores. A 1/2-inch bristle brush. Very inexpensive. It's a 1/2-inch bristle brush. You can buy them in the paint store, in the paint department. And what this does, this gives me a little more texture. So I also, it keeps my techniques. Show little techniques that I have here. But the bristle brush gives me it gives me texture, and there's more texture on the side because the trees are closer. So indicate that they're closer by giving a little more detail. And I just go in and just do a dabbing motion, and you can see right away that the brush stroke is different from what the flat brush was. This gives me more detail of the edges, the sections, and so you can have brushes that work, but you want to practice to see which ones work the best. And in this situation, I like this brush to be used to give me a little more detail, a little more texture. It's more texture over here than on this. The sides, they're further back. You're just seeing it come an outline and so forth. But right here, I can see you can almost see the individual leaves. The groupings of leaves. You can see groups. I don't paint each individual. I paint the groups of grouping of leaves, bunches. Some overhang, some of them droop down, some of them go up in the air. You have to come out. You have to come out and study nature to get a good feeling for capturing the landscape. And you got to look at the shapes, look at the values, look at the colors, and you get kind of a feeling. I got a little bit of burnt sienna on my brush too. I just picked it up, but there's some brown. This is early fall. We're in the middle of September, but still we're getting close to fall, which is my favorite time of the year. because the colors start to change. I get more color in my paintings because of the fall. And that's what I look forward to that. But I pick up a little bit of burnt sienna in there just because there is some browns in there. Not much, but just a little bit, just a touch to show this is early fall. You can see the difference now, the texture of the trees. I'm getting a little more brushwork in there on that. So the trees look different over here because they're closer, and it gives me a feeling of closeness. And I've got, there's lots of action in there. I can see and I leave a lot of white space and dark open space there. Show a little bit of interest. Now down here, I want to try to, I can, the same brush with a little bit of green now. And see, it's got long bristles on it, so I can get this grass down here. A better grass stroke with this brush, the kind I want to get. It'll give me the feeling of this tall grass over here on the left-hand side, and that's why I'm using this brush. This kind of comes up over the water, over reflections. I really like that. Okay. I like the expressiveness, and I like the way this brush. I mean, it's just it's just a bristle brush. There's nothing really nothing special about it, but it has its own characteristic. And just like every brush will have its own. I think look at it, already it looks like grass coming out of that. A little more. There's a couple pieces, little grass down there. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I really like that. That turned out nice. Okay. I put that away. Not much problem there. And see what? So I got to clean up a reflection over here. So go back to my flat brush now. This is my standard flat brush. And then I'll finish up with a round brush. I got some trunks in there I want to put in, so I'll put those in later. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up a little dark green, a little bit of dark green. So I mixed a little bit of that yellow and blue mix here. I'm going to add more blue over here to make it darker. A little bit of ultramarine blue. Okay. A little more blue. Okay, I'm going to come down here now, and I'm going to fill in these are the reflections over here from the trees, and I got some light areas in there too. So I'm going to. The reflections I don't want too defined. They're going to be irregular also. And I'm going to play with the edge. And I'm going to make the reflections different from the actual trees because they're a little bit not blurred, but they're not as defined. Reflections not as defined as the actual trees themselves. But there'll be some light areas showing up in the reflection, just like it is in the actual trees themselves. And I want to maintain this grass look over here. I don't want to interfere with that. I liked what happened there. I really like that expression I got there. And I try to separate this little bit of ground here with the tree colors. Now I'll work a little bit on the edges because these trees have these little points in the trees themselves. Okay, let's see here. I think I'm looking at what this dried up here on me a little bit. After it's dry, I want to go back and put a little more It's a little more shadow in this section here, so I want to bring a little darker, another layer on top of what I did. This is a little bit, this is in shadow, not shadow, but the reflection is a little bit darker than the actual on top. The lightest section is right here, then it comes down because this is more in shadow. And I can get this a little bit darker over here. Separate that. Okay, all right. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just do a little detail work with my round brush. But I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. Okay, we're about ready to finish it off with my detail with a round brush, but you can see here there's a little bit of, you can see there's a little breeze blowing across the water. So now the water has got a little disturbance up there, which is okay. I can indicate that in my painting if I wanted to, just by putting in a little bit of a darker value back there. It will look like the wind blowing across the water, which I may do. That's interesting. Okay, but that's just the change since I've been painting here. So you got to observe what's going on and just decide whether you want to add it or not to your painting. A little bit of wind blowing across the water, so let me capture that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my bristle brush. Now that'll work. The flat brush would give me more. I want to have an not irregular, but I want to have a rough edge on this. So I'm going to just drag this. There's water. It's kind of moving a little bit now with the wind blowing. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate that right across here. Just kind of add that into my painting. A little bit of wind blowing across the water, just a little bit. Just to indicate that, okay? Don't want to get carried away. I use my bristle brush for that. All right, so now I'm going to go in and make a little more detail with my round brush, okay? So I use the round brush, the number 6 round. I use this for a detail. And the only detail I want to do, let's see. I think what I'll do is add a little more. I think I'll add a little more shadow to those. Little dark brown. Add a little burnt sienna, and ultramarine blue. Give me that dark brown. I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to add a little more dark. There's a little dark area along the edge of the water. I want to just emphasize that. And also over here. So that's the water bank. It's the bank of the water underneath the next to the trees. Kind of emphasize that just a little bit. Okay. And this bank over here. And it can be a little bit larger. This bank is a little bit higher because it's closer. And it'll also take away some of that the white paper there I want. Just a little white paper showing. I can cover that up. And this is not a level bank. It's got little indications there, higher and lower. Now, I shape the brush by I put it into the water and I roll the brush in my hand. You can see a rolling motion. So I want to make this point just as, and I'll move it against the edge here. And now I'll go in. There's a couple nice tree trunks in here I want to put in. Indicate the trees. There's one in here. So I'll pick these light areas I have, and that's where I'll put the trunks in. Okay, and there's some up here in this light space. I put some trees in there just to indicate, you know, that's detail. That's detail. And that's enough. That's enough. And I think this area down here, it's light, so I'm going to add a little more texture down here. So I'm going to take my round brush. So it's all, you know, whatever brush I have in my hand, I try to use it just the way it is. So I'm going to put a little more value, a little darker value on this river. Well, not a river bank, but it's a water bank. This bank of the next to the water is a little bit darker because it's wet. It's wet sand. Off the edge of the paper here. And what I'll do is load my brush a little bit in my hand, and I'll take my clip off here and finish off that little section there. Okay, move the clip when I have to. So a little bit darker water there. This is where the water hits that mud bank or edge of the water. And you know what? That's about it. I'm happy with that. Okay, so that is a watercolor sketch. Let me turn it around and show it off. The watercolor sketch and the shadow, of course, the shadow pattern coming from the sun itself. But I want to turn it down here and get a better angle. Now the sun is not shining on it now, so you can kind of see the whole thing. Okay. Now take it back on. So that concludes my demonstration painting this morning of a water sketch. There's the scene that I saw. You can see the water, there's a wind blowing across the water a little bit back there. It gives you a different mark. And come back here to the painting.